2024. It's a little bit after 5:30, 5:32. This meeting was posted last week. So let's go ahead and start off the meeting with item agenda number 2, conflict of interest. I'm going to read this out loud. Under state law, a conflict of interest exists if a council member of that person's family has a qualifying financial interest in an agenda item. Members with a conflict of interest cannot participate in the discussion nor vote on the agenda item. Are there any conflict of interests to disclose at this time?
None.
Okay, sounds like we haven't. We'll go ahead and go to item agenda number 3, citizen communications. Do we have any today? Okay, knowing that we don't have any citizen communication, let's go ahead to item agenda number 4. It's the approval of minutes. We had 2 meetings that we have minutes attached here. One is from March 31st, 2022. Wow.
It's been that long.
We gotta get that one approved. And then also, that's A, and then B, we have a special meeting that we had September 18th, 2023. And so, has everybody had a chance to take a look at those minutes from those meetings? They are attached to the agenda here. Any updates, concerns, edits that we need to make? So we'll start with the first one, March 31st, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Let's go with B, special meeting, September 18th, 2023. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next up on the agenda tonight, number 5, we have presentation by Robert. He's the finance director of the Harlingen Community Improvement Board, interim financial statements ending July 31st, 2024.
You'll have, I'll pass out a copy of the financial statements that they were passing out.
Thank you.
Oh, are they in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. They are, okay. So this is a brief overview of the financial statements as of July 31st, 2024. So on your first page is the balance sheet, which contains all of your assets, liabilities, and fund balance for the year end, for the period ended July 31st, 2024. So the HCIB has $5,546,145 in cash, and that is all at Texpol, which is earning a 5.4% interest. We have an accounts receivable of $191,070, which represents sales tax receivable from the state, which was received in August, but we accrued it in July. So they're July, yes.
Wow, okay.
So that brings your total assets to $5,737,215. You do have a liability related to one of the projects of $146. So the net of the $5,737,000 and the $146,000 is $5,591,197, which represents your fund balance. So you have unassigned fund balance of $3,641,847. You have committed fund balance of $1,949,350. $605,000 of that represents the debt payment that was made in August. So that payment was made in August. You also have the hike and bike trail, the Lonsey Hill Destination Park, and the spay and neuter services. That's as of July. So if you turn the page, you'll have your income statement. So for the month of July, we received $191,069 in revenues compared to $723,000 in expenditures. And the majority of that is in the Tony Butler renovations, which that construction has already ended. So for the current year to date, we have total revenues of $2,142,116. 1.8 of that is in sales tax and $335,000 in interest. We had construction costs of $5,083,315. 4.7 of that was in Tony Butler golf course renovations and $365 in the Lonsey Hill Trail project. So for the year, we had an an excess of expenditures over revenues of 2,941,199, which was a planned expenditures over revenue because of the projects that were planned. So you began the year with 8,532,396 in fund balance and ended the year with 5,591,197 because of the excess expenditures. So on the bottom, you see a little reconcilement of your fund balance. As you see, this will tie to the front page. You have 3,641,000 in unassigned fund balance, 605,000 convention center debt, 13,007 in hike and bike trail, 26,000 in Tony Butler, 1,104,000 in the Lansing Hill Trail, and 200,000 for the spay and neuter clinic. And these are pretty much remaining from all of the projects, as I think most of the projects have already completed. So that's a brief overview of the July financial information.
Mr. Chairman, on the 200,000 spay neuter, we're going to complete the process today of allocating the funding. We only included it because the board had previously said that
We approved that before, didn't we, last year?
You said you would approve it, so we put that in there, but there's some public hearing requirements that we've already met.
Yep.
And a public hearing notice today and the action item that will actually complete the process, and so that's why it's in your financials.
And it's not actually an expenditure, it's just a committed amount in the fund
Right.
balance.
That's correct. The phase two of the park, we've completed phase two, or we're still in work on phase two?
No, there's a couple of components. One was the amphitheater, which was removed.
Okay,
Remember from,
yep,
the only part that was remaining was the all-inclusive playground.
Okay.
Because when we're not for bids, initially on the trail, we didn't have enough funding to complete both.
that was a lot.
So what we did was we went ahead and constructed the trail in-house.
Okay.
And it's about a mile long, so I don't know if most of you have seen it or not, but,
Okay.
and so the only part that's remaining is just, the phase two of the project is the all-inclusive playground.
Do you think you'll go out for bid again on that, based on, I mean, now that time has passed, or you think it'll still be, I guess you think it'll still be as bad?
It's still in the books, but that's one that we probably can't do in-house.
Okay.
Because it's specialized, equipment that you need, we don't have that expertise to do that.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can build sidewalks, we can build streets, drainage, but we can't do that kind of construction.
I have a question about the statement of revenue, and this is just my curiosity. On the current year-to-date, sales tax is 1,800,000, and the interest on investment is 335. I'm just wondering where the money's invested that you get an 18% return.
Well, so that's just the revenue that we've gotten for the year to date, but we actually have
Interest,
deposits of about 5.7 million.
well, because it says interest on investment, 335. Right?
Right.
So am I misunderstanding that the interest on the 1.8 is 335?
So it's not interest on the 1.8, it's
Oh,
actually interest on
On the whole
on
balance?
the cash,
Oh,
yeah,
no
on the entire
wonder.
5.7.
I was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
a high return.
It's more,
It is a good return, we get about
I want
5.4.
your stock.
Yeah, I wanna know where are you getting, where are you investing that you're getting 18% back from the
We actually do
city?
get a very good percentage rate
Oh.
at Texpo, which is 5.4.
Well, that is an excellent rate,
Yeah.
but I was just like, wow, am I understanding this correctly? Okay, thank
Good
you.
question,
Thank you for
thanks.
clarifying.
do you know who everybody is?
Yes, Dr. Davis.
Because she has to keep the minutes, so I want to make sure she knows who everybody is.
Yes, no.
You
it's
do?
okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Just making sure.
yes.
Anybody on the board have any other questions about the presentation by Robert? I think later in the meeting, we're gonna approve this, but not right now.
This is a presentation, what you're going to approve later is the budget.
The budget.
Okay,
For the upcoming fiscal year.
okay. So that's item agenda 5. Any last questions while we have Robert? Okay, let's go to item agenda number 6, public hearing. At this time, the board president, that's me, myself, will invite members of the public who have filled out the public hearing and the citizen communication form to address each item listed in this section. Please limit your comments to the topic of this public hearing. If there's more than one public hearing is being held, you'll be allowed to speak during each topic, provided you have filled out the public hearing and citizen communication form for the appropriate topic. If you've signed up for 2 or more, you'll be limited to 5 minutes each. So let's go with A, public hearing on the funding, the spay and neuter program for the Harlingen Animal Shelter in the amount of 200,000. Do we have any?
Mr.
Yes, sir,
Chairman,
we don't. We
nobody
don't.
signed up.
No. Okay, so knowing that we don't, let's go to item, agenda number 7. It's an action item. Let's go ahead and we're gonna discuss and consider and take action deemed necessary on the items listed in the section, including the adoption of a resolution or an ordinance. A, consideration and possible action to approve the funding for the spay and neuter program for the Harlingen Animal Shelter in the amount of $200,000.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this was an item that the board had committed to fund. So we went through the public hearing process and provided notice in the paper for 60 days. We also provided a notice in the paper for today's public hearing and the action that was gonna be taken today. In your package is an executive summary that estimates the total number of spay and neuters that we are anticipating to do. For dogs, we anticipate 603 spays, 610 neuters. And that's just for the 200,000 that's allocated for that amount. If we were to do cats, I think the total amount, actually I didn't include it in there. That's approximately 1,213 spays and neuters that we can do. And it would only be used for the animal shelter, dogs that are adopted.
Let me ask you a question. When we discussed this maybe a year or so ago, there's been a change in management of the animal shelter. Is this now all under you?
It's under the city,
Okay.
but Josh helps me oversee that department.
Okay, okay.
And it's done through the health department, so they oversee that, and he's the immediate supervisor.
Yeah, my memory is we had a presentation from somebody.
Right, and they were asking for a vet and for a mobile clinic to actually conduct spay neuters in there.
Okay,
But the vet eventually turned down and left the valley, so that went away. And then we eventually took over the operations.
just asking these questions in case, you know, if you guys don't remember, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been
And
a while.
So that's good news. Does anybody else have any questions or concern or anything we wanna talk about?
So just to follow up on that, so the animal shelter is gonna perform these spay neuters, or is it gonna be?
No, those are gonna be for dogs that are adopted out of the animal shelter. You have to be a veterinarian to conduct the spay neuter. We have one on staff, but he doesn't do spay neuters. He just monitors the animals as they come in, their health. This will be done by a local vet in town.
And if I remember correctly, I think that it came to the board from the Harlingen Animal Shelter. It was not the previous was for a vet, and then
Okay.
we were gonna hire a vet.
We're
And
gonna
then
hire someone
we
that's.
wanted to, and then
Okay.
they couldn't find one because there's a shortage of
Yep.
vets.
Yeah,
And so then we wanted to use the same allocation of funds, and there was another presentation for the spay and neuter vouchers for the community to be able to, for pets. Are they just for the pets that are being adopted out of the shelter? I think they're for pets in general. I'd have to go
This-
back and read.
This was for the animals that were being adopted out of the shelter. So we could pay for the
So
pet.
even if they were, because right now, some of them are they're spayed or neutered, and then they get adopted. But if they don't get spayed or neutered before they're adopted out, then they're responsible for it.
And you're right, Mayor, that would be based on their age of the, you have to be a certain age before you can have the procedure done, so.
Right.
This would help ease the burden of doing that. And it's not just for dogs, it's also for cats as well.
Any other discussion needed?
Just curiosity why that limit, I mean, could have been lower, higher. I mean,
The what?
Is that the typical number of spay and neuters that you do per year, or?
No, we just didn't want to ask for more.
Just
I
curious.
guess it was a number, and actually initially it was 180, because we used a number that the Humane Society had presented, but then we decided to go to 200, and so the board said yes, so we
So
we
just
can
see a
come back
lot.
for some more if you'd like.
I think it'd be a good idea
Well, I
to
see a
see
lot- a
how
big problem, so, yeah.
successful. And so that's another thing, Gabe, I think, I wanna say that we wanted to provide spay and neuter for the community as well, not just the shelter pets. And so maybe that's something that can be presented for another service aside from the ones that are
Well,
adopted out of the
What we
shelter.
can do, Mayor, is decide how much we would like to ask the board for, and because we've already gone through the process for the spay neuter program for the animal shelter, we could still add more money to this without having to go through the process of the 60-day comment period and the public hearing, but have that program administered out of the animal shelter. So if anybody has a pet in town, obviously they have to be a Harlingen resident.
Sure.
They would take their animal there and get a voucher and then take it to the veterinarian that we use to do that.
So I think that that was kind of the spirit behind all of this, to help with the existing issue of strays and people that are unable to pay for the spay and neuter, and they already have pets. And so maybe that's something that we can present at a later
Yeah, we can.
time as for the community as well, but no more public comment, like you've already
No,
checked off all
yeah, we
those
will.
boxes.
Just-
And I think last time we didn't wanna ask for as much because there wasn't that much money, if you remember, because of.
We
all
just
the
funded
golf.
the Tony Butler Golf Course.
Yeah,
The
and
golf
so
course, yes, I do.
Now it's been, now there's been more funds deposited and now there's opportunity. But at the time, it was like, we were trying to figure out where to pull from.
And I'm gonna guess we're gonna have a little bit better idea now that the city is
Managing it.
I'm gonna guess, from what I've read.
So we have a vet right now that is doing the spay and neuters, but it's very limited, and obviously the cost is, the city can only do so much, so that's why it's only the ones that are kind of staying a little longer in the shelter, and then they become more desirable to be adopted, right? Because they've already been spayed or neutered, but this will capture even the ones that are adopted right away, and then they take them home, and then they can bring them back, right, or not bring them back to the shelter, but to vets in the community.
So, just to be clear, the 200,000 includes the vet services and spay and neuter.
What,
Yeah,
the
the
vet
spay, right?
services for the spay neuter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it includes everything.
We would hope so, yeah. I mean,
What was, I didn't hear the question?
So it includes the services for the vet too?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all it's for.
It's only for
The
that.
Oh, it's
services-
only for the vet.
It's only for the vet
For them
do
to
the spay and neuter.
conduct the procedure.
And then whatever he needs, equipment or,
No, we're not gonna buy any of that.
So it's for private vets to do it,
okay,
It's almost like buying an option, and then you take it there, and they handle it.
right?
okay. And how many did you say it, the goal is? How many?
1,213.
Right.
That's just for
Yeah.
dogs. Of course, number's gonna vary because we're also gonna do cats, but the larger cost is for dogs.
And is the price pretty competitive? I don't have pets.
I think that's pretty
The
we-
fair.
we
the
actually-
190 and the 140.
The vet actually gave us a discount when we met with her for this, so they actually charge the public a little bit more than they would us. So that's why we're able to get so many done.
That's fair.
Okay, any
And
questions?
it's only for Harlingen residents, by the way.
Of course.
How do you know, right? Do you ask for an ID or how do you know it's people from Harlingen?
Well, this would be only for people, actually, dogs or cats that are adopted out of the animal shelters, but they do ask for proof of residency.
So like if I take my dog over there,
Well, no, this is only for adoptions right now.
oh, okay. And
Yeah.
so you're saying that you're gonna come back later and ask for more money for for the residents, right? That's-
For those that already have pets and dogs that aren't spayed or neutered, right?
Okay, I get it.
I think it's a good idea, and like I said, there wasn't additional monies back then to do that, but now there is, and I think it's something to entertain, but not right now.
Well, that would, that would
Yeah.
fall under community improvement. I mean, I think I don't think anybody would argue that, so.
Right.
But for today, this is really just for something we discussed in a previous meeting. And any more questions, concerns, comments that anybody has? So let's go ahead, let me see if I can get a motion.
Motion approved.
A motion to approve the $200,000 for the spay and neuter program for the Harlingen Animal Shelter. Can I get a motion?
I
We have
second.
one. Can I get a second? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good news, it sounds unanimous. So let's go to action item B, consideration and possible action to approve the Harlingen Community Improvement Board budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. We got Robert coming back here. Thank you.
So before you have the Appendix A, which is the estimated budget for the 4B. At the very top, we have a little reconcilement where we begin our fund balance at $5,364,038. We are projecting $2,510,000 in revenue. We're projecting approximately 2.2 in sales tax and 310,000 in interest. And the expenditures, we have projected there the expenditures for the committed funds that are in there, but these are just projects that are already on the tail end, so I just put them there because there have been no other projects other than the 200,000 that are new. So, and the 500,000 of unallocated, so if there are any changes or additions that would like to be added to those expenditures, I can add those.
Just as an FYI, we won't be doing anything with the phase two until we come back to the board for any type of direction.
Okay.
That would be on construction cost, awarding a contract. So that, and then also on the unallocated amount, that's just there as a placeholder. That would still require, if it's a new project, the public hearing notice for 60 days and a public hearing by the board and action, so.
So they're in the 500,000 and the 605, which is the payment for the debt for the next year, everything else, and the 200,000, everything else has remained the same. We're not anticipating anything to come in on the phase two of the golf course or the trail extension, but they are there because that was what was remaining.
Does that mean we came under? Is that what that,
Slightly, yes.
slight, okay.
Yeah,
Well, the trail was supposed, we had estimated.
actually,
I
because it
think we
was done
actually got
in-house,
bids
right?
For 1.2 million, right?
Yeah.
And we did it in-house and it came out to about 550,000 approximately.
It's fantastic.
So we saved a lot of money.
It's fantastic.
So that's the projected budget. So we have total expenditures of 2,449,428 compared to revenues of 2,510,000. So that's an excess of revenues over expenditures of 60,572. So that'll bring your beginning fund balance of 5,364,038 to an ending fund balance projected at the end of 2025 of 5,424,610. And that's a brief
Anybody have any questions, concerns?
And this is an action item, so.
And I'm assuming the sales tax revenue is pretty conservative, 2.2?
Yes, it is. Mm.
So just for planning purposes for myself, is there a way you can put something like on the convention center, how many more payment plans are you gonna have?
Oh,
every
absolutely.
year?
Yeah, I can attach that to
And
it.
then, if possible, I don't know, I mean.
Yeah, we have an amortization schedule that will take you out to maturity, so I can include that next time.
Yep, I think I've seen that once before in your package.
Yes, I can include it going forward.
Okay, and then
Just so
looking
that
at
you
just,
can see.
for next time, I mean, I like to see like for you have the fiscal year, so if you had for like the history for 23 and 22.
Of
so
the
just-
debt payments?
Yeah, no, for, just in general, cause it's kinda hard to follow,
Oh, sure.
when you go through your budget here and the previous notes.
Absolutely. I can
So-
put like the previous couple of years and
Yeah.
this year, sure.
Yeah, that'd be a lot easier to follow.
From a historical perspective, the reason I ask about, I think every year I ask if his estimate on sales tax revenue is conservative or not. I remember when we first started the board, it was a little over $1 million. So I wanna say 1.1 was the estimate back then.
Yeah, that was before, that was way before Bass Pro Shops when we started.
Yeah, and so overall, the growth of the city, by definition, people spending money here, the money goes, sales tax goes to Austin, then that money comes back to us, is, it's fun to see.
Yeah.
And, so, any other questions, concerns? It looks like, Robert, you're gonna help us out with some.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So the action tonight is to take a look at the budget, which we did, talk about it, and then I'll take a motion to approve. Do we have a motion?
Aye.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? all in favor of approving the Harlingen Community Improvement Board's fiscal statement 2024-2025 budget, I'm sorry, I'll say aye. Aye. Sounds like it was unanimous. And let's see,
That's it.
that is it. Thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned. Appreciate your time.
Board, if you would take a sandwich with you to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Same here. Thanks for everything.
I know, right, I know,
Yeah, for this one.